Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Throwaway Dinner Strike. Am I the a-hole for no longer bringing dinner to my wife after she claimed I never cook? I work at a nice restaurant as a cook, and every day when I get off from work, I always cook dinner for my wife and our 2 kids, 8 male and 6 female, at the restaurant before coming home. The only time I don't cook for them is on weekends when I'm off, and that's when my wife does the cooking. We usually trade off who makes breakfast and lunch for the kids every day, but for the week I'm always the one bringing home dinner. On weekends, we sometimes get together with friends, and they come over to the house. My wife usually cooks and I help set the table and clean afterward. One of her friends, Stacy, asked how come I never do any of the cooking and it is always on my wife all the time making meals for the kids, especially when I'm a cook myself. Instead of correcting her, she sort of laughed and went along with it, making jokes about, you know how it is. And Stacy laughed because her ex-husband was the same way, and then sort of ripped on me in a joking way about how I better buck up before I become an ex too. My wife just said, we'll see if he actually listens and starts cooking for once, joking about all the time I spend in the kitchen at work but won't do the same at home. It really pissed me off. I'm not the husband that just doesn't do anything after I'm home from work. I cook food for her and the kids at work, and on top of that, I make separate dishes for each of them, what she wants and what the kids want. All that after standing on my feet all day. We talked about it once they left because I don't appreciate being told I'm not doing something she knows for a fact I do. She didn't want to apologize for it because it was all just to be a funny joke. Even after telling her about how it hurt my feelings being put down like that, my wife said she felt like she had to go along with the joke so there wouldn't be any awkward vibes, whatever that means. But I said fine. If she can't apologize for something that was mean just so she could laugh along with her friends, then I won't keep doing something she already claims I don't do. So, for the past week, I've only brought home dinner for our kids and she's had to make her own food. Now she's mad that I'm refusing to feed her over what happened instead of letting it go. But I can't help but feel mad about being made fun of like that when I'm busting my ass off to provide for my family and still making sure they have food on the table every evening. She just thinks I'm an a-hole for how I'm reacting when she's already tired at the end of the day but still having to make food for herself. So, am I the a-hole? OP, in my opinion, no, you are not the a-hole. There are 2 a-holes in this situation that I see. One is your wife and the other is Stacy. I think your wife is an a-hole because she didn't shut Stacy down. I couldn't give less of an F what kind of man Stacy's ex is. Your wife should have told her you're not like that. And that weird vibes excuse is just BS. If Stacy would have felt awkward because your wife shut down her stupid joke, then here's a tip for Stacy. Hey Stacy, shut the F up and don't stick your nose in other people's business like that. Jokes are supposed to make people laugh. OP wasn't laughing. So yeah, OP, your wife does owe you an apology. And I'm guessing you guys already know why I think Stacy is an a-hole, but yeah, I just didn't like Stacy in this whole story. Making jokes about how OP better buck up before he becomes an ex too. Yeah, that pissed me off. Anyways, what do you guys think? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. The Bear Will Be Fine says, not the a-hole. Your spouse is supposed to be your partner in everything in life. The person who always has your back like you always have theirs. She threw you directly under the bus for the sake of not creating waves with her friend. Then, when you told her you didn't find her comments at all funny and quite hurtful that she let someone else believe you're a deadbeat, she blew you off. So, she can make her own dinner until she sincerely apologizes and acknowledges that your contribution to the family of cooking dinner during the week is important. Surfaholic15 says, not the a-hole. That was freaking rude. Heck, I brag about my hubby cooking and home canning with me all the time, and thank him for every meal he cooks. He does the same for me, and we have been doing that over 15 years. Beyond that, I would never expect a professional cook to do home cooking. When I used to work in the kitchen 10 hours a day, the last thing I wanted to do after work or on days off was be cooking, lol. During that time, hubby did all the cooking and canning because he wanted me to have a work and home separation going on. On the rare occasion he got teased, he defended me vociferously, said he loved getting better in the kitchen, and when that job ended, we would really kick ass together in the kitchen, lol. And Opie responds, I'm the same too. Once I'm off work, the last thing I want to do is cook, so that's why on weekends when I'm off, she's the one in the kitchen. Unless it's my day to make breakfast for the kids, of course. Advanced Extent 420 says, not the a-hole, what the hell? A perfect opportunity to brag on her spouse, but instead goes along with the joke that isn't funny, and when you try and talk to her and explain how hurtful it was, she doubles down? What is she thinking? Is her friendship with Stacy more important than her relationship with you? Your wife is a lucky woman who apparently takes you for granted. I'd cook the best meals for the kids, wonderful, savory meals, but she can keep cooking for herself until she can find it in herself to sincerely apologize. And boo-hoo that she's tired at the end of the day and doesn't want to cook for herself. Does she have any concept of how hard it is standing on your feet all day and cooking is? But instead of going straight home to rest, you cook meals specific for the personal preferences of your wife and children. And Opie responds, I'm sad about it, to be honest. We've never had an issue like this before, even with our own parents who used to look down on me before my cooking actually took me somewhere. Additional information from Opie's comments. First of all, I wouldn't and won't joke to my friends at my wife's expense. And just because it's an old stereotypical joke, it doesn't mean that it's not hurtful, especially when you're being told you don't do your part as a partner or parent. Sexist jokes are old, but they're certainly not funny. Now, I wasn't expecting my wife to boast. It would have felt nice though. But at least say, hey, you're wrong, and not just go along with it. I didn't shut Stacy down because I was kind of shocked at my wife that she did go along with it when I thought she'd say something to her friend. While it was actually happening, it was just so surprising hearing her say all these things that I didn't even know what to think. I knew if I said something when my feelings were hurt and angry as well, it wouldn't have been nice. I had an honest conversation with her, but since it didn't go anywhere, I decided not to use up more of my energy cooking an extra meal before going home after work if she doesn't appreciate it. This isn't revenge. I'd rather make my kids dinner and spend time with them than spend any other time making her food. I'm not going to drag our kids into any issues between us, and that's actually one of the main reasons why what she did hurt me so much. You see, my family life was very dysfunctional growing up. My dad abandoned me when I was 8, and it was my mom on her own doing everything. That's why with my kids, I wanted to go above and beyond to be there for them always, as a father and a husband. So having my wife make it seem like I'm not doing my job as either hurt me more. After all the effort to always be there for my family because I don't want them to ever suffer the same way my mom and I did. Finally, I know some of you are wondering about me making food at work to take home. The reason why I can do this is that my boss lets all of his employees do this. It doesn't hurt the business, and he's made it clear from day one that we can use the kitchen to make meals on our off hours as long as we're not disrupting the rest from doing work. This is a good way to make sure most of the ingredients don't go to waste. Also, he's a wealthy man. Trust me, he doesn't care. The owner, my boss, is the real MVP here. Treats us all like, wait for it, human beings. Smiley face. But the day he actually asks us to pay for what we make, then I'll happily cover it. Okay, so now we know that OP wasn't just offended because his wife went along with the joke, but it actually has something to do with how he was brought up. So now let's move on with the update to see how this story ends. At first, I wasn't going to post an update, but since things have gotten better, why not? I didn't show my wife this post like some suggested until a few days later. But before that, she wanted to talk before bed, and she apologized for how she's been behaving with me when she made those jokes and let her friends say things about me, then how she was acting afterward. In reality, she knew she did wrong, but when I called her out, it made her defensive and she realizes how she was acting like a child after knowing how much I do for our family. That's when I showed her the post and opened up about something that was mentioned by me in the comments, how it really hit a nerve for me, making it seem like I'm a lousy father and husband when my dad was exactly that. He abandoned me and my mom. She knows how important it is for me to be as involved as possible when our kids were born because I never wanted to be like him. So her making it seem like that's how I am brought up some feelings. Telling her this really made her feel like she effed up big time. She wouldn't stop apologizing. She promised she'd never put me down that way. And honestly, I think she's shown that she meant her apology. For a week, she wanted to be the one making dinner for everyone, so I have some time to relax after work. It was nice, but I also missed making meals for my family. Cooking for my kids is my own way of expressing my love for them, so we're back to that as well. I feel like my wife has more than shown how sorry she is and appreciates what I do for this family. The last time we had lunch with her friend a few days ago on my day off, she even brought it up. As mad as I was when it happened, it's nice to see she's made an effort to make amends. The support I got from here was very sweet. Appreciate feeling heard when it felt like my wife wasn't at the time. Extended update from OP's comments. I'm glad that she recognizes how important this is to me and is taking real action to fix the damage. It hurt with her refusing to acknowledge how what she and her friends said made me feel. My family always loved my cooking, so knowing they enjoyed something I made on top of keeping them fed is always a nice reward for me. Actually, my son loves to help out when we make breakfast together and learn how to cook different recipes. I hope he can treasure those moments as I do. Bringing up my dad didn't happen until after she approached me to apologize. My wife was already admitting she was wrong about how she acted and felt bad about it. Talking about why it hit a nerve for me was just something we got into afterward. I get that none of us are perfect, and I'd be lying if I said I never had that knee-jerk reaction to get all defensive. But we do love each other and our kids very much, so I know no matter what, we will always figure things out and improve. Well, OP, this is a good update. Your wife didn't need you to push her into apologizing, she actually got it for herself and she did, and then you told her the truth about why it really hurt you. That's really cool, OP, so here's wishing the best for you and your family. Thanks for sharing and take care. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Entitled People and it's by user Thrice Fanged Caramel. Ex-friend thinks I'm going to be their landlord, later corrected to Entitled X wants me to be her landlord. Obligatory on mobile, throwaway because of legal stuff, I am in the UK. Anyway, I bought my first flat when I was in my 20s. I rented out a room to a guy from Poland. Awesome flatmate, FM. Super good at do-it-yourself and maintenance. At the time, I was seeing someone for a while. Let's call her Ghost. Ghost lived with two other girls, one of whom we'll call Karen. Ghost and I broke up. From the imaginative name, you can guess what happened. And that whole friend group ditched me. My career went pretty well, and I later bought a house in the suburbs. I decided to let my flatmate stay on in the flat on the same rent, with the proviso that he'd not sublet. But his girlfriend moves in, which is fine. Also worth noting that his girlfriend had become friends with Ghost and her group back then. Anyway, I get the mortgage covered, a tenant who is better at maintaining the place than I am, and he gets a 2-bed flat for half price. So, a few years on, and a certain idiot referendum passes, and flatmate and his girlfriend are moving home to Poland. His girlfriend has already gone back, but when I'm over sorting some stuff with the flatmate, I see a huge pile of moving boxes, etc. in the spare room. I ask flatmate, "Oh, is that girlfriend's stuff? Are you going to be able to fit all that in the car?" And he says, no, that's Karen's stuff. She asked if she could leave it here while we were still here. As it turns out, Karen was still friends with the girlfriend. She found out they were leaving and that their rent was a pretty good deal. She told his girlfriend that she had squared it all with me and that she was going to take it all over. I will confess to a few minutes of panic and confusion. I have not spoken to this person in years. She thinks that she is going to move into my flat and doesn't even ask? How the hell does she even intend to pay rent? Given she has made 0 attempts to contact me, and why would I not go for the market rate? I'm honestly baffled and somewhat morbidly fascinated to find out how she thinks this is going to work. I don't really want to get into some kind of ridiculous squatter rights squabble with them, so I contacted my solicitor, think a non-trial lawyer. She recommends I get the locks changed to install a security camera and send the inevitable roof hitting her way when Karen turns up and tries to get in. I actually think she's quite excited by the drama, a bit more interesting than property conveyancing. So I explained this to my flatmate. He agrees to move out 2 weeks early and helps me fit the doorbell camera. He really was the best. So that's where we are. I pretty much have the Ring app open constantly on my phone. I have pretty clear instructions not to say anything other than give my solicitors information and record any and all correspondence when it happens. I'm presuming she will hear from girlfriend though. Well, OP, it's a good thing that you have a solicitor giving you proper recommendations as to how to act. Now, before we move on with the 3 updates that OP has given us, let's go through some of OP's curated responses from the comment section. I discussed with my solicitor about charging Karen storage fees or reporting abandoned property inside my flat, but she warned me to expect to lose money. The best case scenario is a third party collects this stuff and it's done quietly. There are various kinds of abandoned property in law, but we don't want to accidentally wander into the one where someone leaves stuff behind and therefore acknowledge them as a tenant. I haven't moved her stuff out of the apartment, I simply photographed it and got flatmate to write a letter to my solicitor saying it's exactly as left. I was sternly warned not to look or interfere with it. If it ends up being moved to storage, then I need to get a registered mover to do it. But hopefully not, because then I'll end up on the hook. Fascinating laws when you're not being screwed by them. My mention of the squatters' rights thing is probably an exaggeration. The law was changed a few years back and she won't be able to prove she resided there without bills and utilities, all firmly in my name. But it's a lot easier when they're not in the property. Still, there used to be some pretty wacky laws regarding squatters' rights, but like I said, they were changed. The problem is, a lot of people still kick up a fuss and act like the old laws are still in place. The funny area we are in is that while it is illegal to enter a residence without permission, at the time Karen did this, she had the then resident's permission. Then she abandoned her goods and left. If she tries to enter again, it would be trespassing, like revoking permissions to a vampire. I can't call or message Karen or Ghost since I deleted and blocked their numbers years ago. I didn't want to do anything stupid like having a few drinks and making any calls. I'm putting everything through my solicitor. Hopefully, the immediate jump to legal action will make them back off quickly and show them they can't pull some kind of fast one on me. Also, I didn't start looking for new tenants because I wasn't really expecting it for a few more weeks, to be honest. A lot happened quite fast. Thought it would be a weird situation to explain to someone viewing it. You can move in when I can get this crazy ex-friend's stuff out of here. I presumed girlfriend knows by now about their whole scam. Flatmate was pretty appalled. Girlfriend is a very sweet and trusting thing, and in fairness, the scale of the lie is pretty impressive. I think girlfriend became friends with Karen because they would have met a number of times at parties and through Ghost. It wasn't unusual for Ghost and her friends to turn up at my flat at 3 AM and sleep on the couch. I was closer to town and they frequently spent their taxi money. Anyway, I'm probably going to sell the place. I never really wanted to be a landlord. Alright, so now we've got all the context we needed before we move on with the updates. Now, OP did give us 3 updates, but I've curated them all into just one. Update 1. Today at lunchtime, Karen turned up and tried to get into the flat. And she was not alone. Ghost was with her, and they had a key. I feel stupid for not remembering that Ghost probably had one from when we were together, or they got a copy from girlfriend. I didn't think she'd keep it after she ditched me, but probably should have changed the locks back then. Whoops, sorry tenants, my ex had a key to your flat the whole time. Anyway, the camera didn't get the preamble, but they came up to the door and tried a key. "It's not working," some fumbling. "He's having changed the locks." Some more descriptive language was said, presumably about me and my parentage, that I can't wait to have a solicitor read back to them. They continue to take turns trying the key. I connect at this point, but don't say anything. They try the doorbell, but it doesn't make any noise because I'm connected. I think it's lit up, but I guess they don't realize that means I'm watching. I thought Ring cameras had a siren to give them a fright, but I couldn't find it. They bang on the door and window a bit before walking off. I stayed listening through the camera, but didn't hear anything else. It was still eerily quiet on the phone. I sent the video to my solicitor anyway. I've had 2 calls from unknown numbers, but I'm not going to answer. I will wait for someone to text me and send them the solicitor's contact information. Update 2. After a whole bunch of phone calls from random numbers, I finally got one from Ghost's father. He was always a gentleman who I got on with, so I sent him a polite message saying if this was about the flat, please direct this to my solicitor, and gave him the details. He said okay, and she said he contacted her and is going in to meet her on Friday, so I guess I could update the title to Entitled X wants me to be her landlord. I did some snooping on social media. I deleted my Facebook years ago. It seems that Ghost and Karen's other housemate is getting married soon. They were all living rent-free in the bride's nan's old house. So I'm guessing impending nuptials are the reason Ghost and Karen are looking for somewhere new and cheap to live. Not really my problem though. Final update. Wow, it has taken a turn from the entitled to just plain dumb. Karen, Ghost, and Ghost's dad met with my solicitor today where they unveiled their secret weapon. They had a copy of my lease with my flatmate. I was right in that their rent-free ride was over and they had no money saved. Ghost had been used to me as a cash machine for years, I guess, so she thought I would just roll over? Lol, no, as the kids might say. So these brainiacs' plan was that they would take over the existing lease agreement with the flatmate and his girlfriend without my involvement. They had a key, they had my payment details from the tenancy agreement. Girlfriend just cost flatmate and her a wedding gift. Luckily, the account's sole purpose was for rent, so I can change that number easily. They thought they could just write their names on the form as well and it would be legally binding. Never mind the fact that there is no subletting. The agreement was with someone else and the agreement was terminated by flatmate. My solicitor says they only tried to argue their point for a minute before giving up. Meeting at her office gave her a real home feel psychological advantage, I think. That and, you know, every freaking law in the land. She was laughing on the phone about it. Honestly, these people are nearly 40. How they have no idea how a lease works is beyond me. Although, I don't think they believed it. I think it's just because they got caught and are trying to spin it. Long, stupid story short, Ghost's dad has agreed to pay a moving company to collect the boxes and bring them to his house. I need to be there for that, but I will slam the door at the first sign of anyone other than a mover. So, I'm out about 350 quid in solicitor's fees. I can accept that. As I said, no wedding present for flatmate now. I mean, I'd preferred not to have this happen, but who knows what would have happened if they got in or got their day in court. There is a non-zero chance I could have been screwed by a justice based in some sob story. Even in the likely case I would have won, the only people who make money in these things are the lawyers. Punitive damages aren't really a thing here. The courts would just send everyone on their way. At least, I'll always have a video of my ex failing to pull a fast one on me, and the record of her being called to my solicitor's office like they've been called to the office by the head teacher. A quick note on why I didn't just chuck her things out the door. Flats here tend to open to outside, not a corridor, so it would be the same as chucking it out in the rain, and there is a legal duty of care. It's called being an involuntary bailee. It sucks, but it's a pretty common landlord problem. And Karen is a Karen. At least I've seen her complain twice in a restaurant to get her meal comped. Rules are a weapon to use against others. She would absolutely have made trouble for me. That's it. Hopefully it will, at the very least, serve as a cautionary tale about changing locks if you get dumped. Well, OP, the good thing is that there was no additional horrible drama to go through in all this thing, and you got a pretty funny story to tell at a friend's party someday. Take care, OP, and thanks for sharing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.